So, hello to everybody who's listening, who's watching, and today's theme we will talk about the second rule from OWASP Top 10 Risk for Mobile. That is why it will be very interesting, I guess. And the second theme is an adequate supply chain security, which we will talk about what should we do installing the third-party packages and all that stuff. So that is why it will be very interesting, and I guess that in this same it will not last long like this previous video that I've recorded. So that is why I will show the cases, I will talk about the cases that happened to the people, all the stuff. So it relates more about the packages from the pub dev, I would say. So if you go to the pub dev, you will see that there are a lot of to be installed in your I would say in your project. So whenever the first developer, the junior, when she comes to the project, the first thing that they do, it's to download specific specific third-party packages, but without knowing who is the maintainer, who is maintaining the specific project. They don't know. Also, so it's, I would say that this problem for the simple application, it's good enough to when you're using specific kind of, when you're developing specific kind of banking account application, or maybe banking a transaction application, so overall bank application, who makes transaction, who this kind of stuff. When you are developing this kind of attention, especially to the packages that you're downloading from any kind of website, any kind of, I don't know, third party. So, but first of all, for the banking for banking, the people who maintaining, who are the leader of this specific project, otherwise they're just a junior who's working for the specific project. They will be like compromised, the server or maybe the application will be compromised. And when the server or maybe application is compromised and the developer was not good enough, the specific kind of secrets will be stolen, all that stuff. So that is why you have to for the specific projects. So let's start talking about them, and let's check it out, that how many. Just write down block here, and without blocking, let's just look. There are a lot of dev. It's more than 70,000, and it's almost 72,000 packages out there. But whenever you're downloading a specific thing, you don't know what is what, what kind of third-party package has inside. For example, if you even notice that every package has its own dependency diagram, for example, and write down Flutter dependencies diagram. If you ever saw this kind of thing, you would say that, yeah, for example, it uses collection, meta, SkyEngine, and all the stuff. Flutter test use this one. Or if I go and for example, okay, if you go and copy this one, and not this one, copy this one and go to our developing, you'd see that, for example, the stack trace uses the pass, or maybe the taste API uses async, boolean selector, source span, or what is that? What do we have? For example, Flutter Secure Storage uses Flutter Secure Storage Darwin, Linux platform interface, all other some specific NAR packages inside. So it calls diagram of dependencies. So That's why you have to, even though if you are a newbie or if you are a junior who are just recently joined to the project and you don't know what is what, even though if you're using in your project, if you're using any kind of state manager, doesn't matter what is that, like the state manager of control, Flutter, okay, Flutter control. If you're using block state manager, I would say the other state manager is just saying out there in Flutter ecosystem, like provider, already they are not state managers. I would say they are the main rule, the main the main job of provider is injecting dependencies. It's not a state manager. The state manager is change notifier that you can inject your state manager down up the material application, material, what is it, material app. You can get this kind of specific dependency anywhere from your application. That's the interesting thing. Even though if you are thinking that the what is that, provider, or what was that, river pod is a state management, actually it's not. It's the main job, as I said, the main specific job, specific thing that this the main thing is about to inject it. Like if you want to get specific dependency from specific place, it means that so these packages help you. Provider, river, Flutter, block, and control. Also, I would say they have this kind of capability to inject the upper the material app. But the main reason of using Flutter, block, and all this is state management, like state managing. Not about the qubit. About I'm talking only about the bits one. So if you want to use just a simple use change notifier, that's all. So excuse me for voice, I would say, because I've got a new mic. I don't know how this one will affect to the video, but I guess that you will enjoy that. So the first rule of OWASP, they said that you have to be you have to be aware of using specific kind of third-party packages, you know. So it means that if you're specific in your team, if you don't know about the inadequate security, it means that your application will be compromised in the future, like, you know. So as I said, this theme doesn't relate to the just simple only those applications that relate, that deal with the transactions, banking, things, all that stuff, you know. Otherwise, the knowing inadequate supply chain security, or maybe like the rules of inadequate supply chain security, doesn't matter for the simple. It doesn't matter whether you are using this one for the simple one or otherwise. You have to know about this one. It means that in the future you know what kind of risks you will be. So the top 10 mobile risk from OWASP came out in 2024, I guess, and the second rule of an adequate supply, and it's more about the packages. So what I want to tell all this beside this one, I guess, beside these ones. So as I said, you don't know what kind of specific third-party package is using your dependency, so that is why even though you maintainers of the specific just a moment. If you trust the maintainers of this specific package, it doesn't mean that the specific, even though its specific package is safe, but you don't know what other packages is using the specific package. Okay, so let's go for the first. No, I guess that we will come back to this one later. It's not a. It more relates to the Flutter code side, Android side. So I will come back here later, and we will talk about this one later. So I want to a little bit specific moments, use cases that happen to developers and people about a couple of years ago. I don't know what's happening right now, but I've a couple interesting topic. So one of the interesting supply chain attack that happened in JavaScript and npm is that there was a event stream kind of package out there in JavaScript. I would say that I'm not also related to the JavaScript because I've learned that a lot of years ago, but I don't know what's going on here right now. So the script, npm, all the stuff. So this kind of event stream package was very it was very popular. Million downloads in a just week. It has about 1 million downloads in a just week, and something happened. The specific project of the specific want to continue maintaining this. You had to pull who wants to send a pull requests, so who wants to like contribute to the specific repository, you know. So after there was a guy who I guess right now control. Let's check it out once again. His name was right 9 control, I guess, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not finding that one. So that guy fixed the bugs. He sent pull requests. He looked like a very normal guy, a normal for the specific thing. So after the stuff, the maintainer who was maintaining the specific project, he wanted to find out another guy, and he said that I will give the permission to maintain this project to the right 9 control. There was a guy, and I would say that the main reason it's the application, all the stuff is not just go and write code, or maybe just hack the specific system. It's the main problem of hacking, also gaining the respect. So what happened? The new maintainer, that guy who gave a permission to maintain the project, he said that I will maintain the project, and there was a new version of event stream. It was 3.3.6, I guess, and in the specific 3.6 version, that guy also, what he did, what did he do? He added a new specific event stream. As I said, this is also in Flutter has other dependencies inside. So this guy, for example, inside the Flutter test, he added a sync package. I'm just mentioning that this specific thing happened to that guy, to this project. He added another package who called flatmap. I'm mistaken. Flatmap stream. Is that? Here we go. He added new this package called flatmap stream. Nobody, for example, repository, you wouldn't see anything there, any malicious code. You know, it was somehow obfuscated or somehow like this one was deep. Understood that flatmap stream is a malicious code. Nobody understood, but this one flatmap stream was a Trojan, or how to spell it, I don't know, but we called it Trojan. This kind of package nobody understood, but this package also wouldn't work for everybody, you know. What does it mean? It means that everybody who had the Bitcoin Cash kind of application, like everybody who installed a specific web or I don't know JavaScript project, they would malicious code, but this malicious code wouldn't work for the specific for everybody, I would say. Well, they worked for the specific person. If the person had any kind of Bitcoin Cash application, that malicious code opened itself, like it was a zip or maybe, or I don't know, and it started to take all the secrets from there. And like I mean, this malicious code decoded additional payloads. This malicious code tried to search private keys from this kind of Bitcoin Cash, and this after finding that specific application, who is inside this application, this malicious code found these bitcoins, and this one started to send this information to the attacker. And after a specific moment of time, after a specific duration, other developers started to search out what is going on, and they found out that the flatmap stream was a malicious code was a Trojan, and Trojan, I would say. And after that, the main maintainer who maintained this project removed this person from the it was not the maintainer anymore, and they undo the version of event stream. So next, that was the problem, and actually nobody knows what happened to that guy, because from that specific moment everybody learned that they don't have to give a permission for the nobody, even though he has done a lot of contribution to the project, you know. It means that is the problem, I would say. And what else? If you ask that what is Trojan, like Trojan, it writes down like Trojan. It has a, I would say that there was a very interesting Trojan kind of malicious code. It's it's a simple application that does simple. You know, when you download this, you wouldn't understand that there's a malicious code. It shows, for example, calculator. you would calculate everything, but when you download that, when you open that, this Trojan doesn't work for the specific person. Maybe when it sees that the phone or maybe the specific thing, specific application, it's downloaded in a device everywhere, anywhere. It's just to hack that or maybe send the data to the attackers, all kind of stuff. But Trojans, I would say that it will not specific person. For example, person downloads that, nothing happens, until this person downloads bank account applications and all that stuff, I would say. And also, there's another interesting thing that happened in 2022. I wouldn't say that. I don't say the what. Read this yourself. For example, into 2022 there was a package, Node IPC. Everybody maybe know this kind of Node IPC kind of package, because if you are a JavaScript developer, you may know about this one. But that there was a very interesting story about this one. Nobody, like for example, there was not a contributor who came and everybody gave him a permission. It's not like this one. But the main maintainer of this package, Node IPC, added a malicious code himself. He was a Ukrainian guy. So in 2022's conflict, this guy added a new malicious code inside his own package. And in a new version from 10.1.0 and 10.1.2, there was a new malicious code. Everybody who tried to install this one, this package tried to it recursively went throughout all files and folders in your PC and rewrote every naming of your folder and everything inside with the symbol of heart, this one, with this one it changed everything. But I would say that it was not related to everybody who lived in Russia and Belarus. I guess it's somehow using a IP address, you find out that the person is living in Russia and Belarus, and that specific malicious code will worked right there. Not everywhere, I would say. We checked everything. Just check it out, everything here. So in this moment, this situation that happened, it's not exactly the same as the previous one that I've told you. It's the main maintainer added the malicious code and broke the rules of open. If you are making any kind of open source project, it means that it doesn't have to, like programming, it doesn't have to relate to, especially the project had the idea to help our people for the for specific problem, but the rules of open source was broken. Like person added a malicious code, meaning that he broke the rules, I would say. And there was another package, so let me a bit. It called the log4j. So in a that I've told you about, that everything, if your mobile application was compromised, if you didn't do any specific, means that it's bad, yeah. But I've told you that every kind of application, client-side application, they will be compromised anyway. So it doesn't mean that you don't have to add protection in your application, but the server, the main thing is related to the server. If the server is compromised, means that you are cooked. Just a second. It means that you are cooked. So the main thing is server. You have to protect your server much more than the client side. Remember that. So there was another package for the server side applications that called Log4j. They found out a new vulnerability that's known as Log4Shell, I guess. It was in 2021, November 2021. Something happened. What happened, I would say. So that's interesting. For example, Log4j, there was a package. They tried to log data just a second. So Apache Software Foundation, Apache Software Foundation, it was very popular package then, back in the days, I would say. I guess it's still very popular. The main purpose of this package was logging, like logging any kind of thing. For example, if you have a server-side application, if you want to log what is going on, for example, you want to log the username, the error message, or kind of stuff, and this logger helped out to log and write down the logs inside a specific file. In the Laravel, if you saw that there was a log kind of file that every time when you log something, it writes down for this inside the specific file, I would say. And nobody understood, but I guess that and this malicious code, the main problem, it was the vulnerability, I would say. The main problem was that the logger, the package, tried to make requests and go to the internet, but the main purpose of logging is just the logging and write down inside the file, not going to the internet, not going inside internet, searching site, some kind of stuff. But somehow the users, or maybe even the hackers, I would say, somehow they understood that there is the logger, it has a vulnerability. They tried to request inside this logger. How you would say is, for example, if you are in headers, if you are making any request, you can add, for example, headers inside headers for specific kind of hash map, data. And every time you don't want to send anything, you don't want to send a specific thing every time in every request, you don't write down every time. You just use headers anywhere, and every time when you make a request, even though if you don't write headers, it automatically sends the data within the headers, within headers. So what happened? The hackers, they saw that Log4j package is using GNDY, or maybe what is that? GNDY. It's the GNDY, some kind of another package who made a request to the servers, all kind of stuff. They found out that it could make. So what they do? For example, the and a request to the server. Server could see that there is a GNDY kind of thing. Okay, for example, the hackers could send in the request this kind of thing. Okay, it's attacker's URL. For example, the logger make request, but in this specific request there's a malicious code, and the server executed this kind of thing. It was a big. Instead of like just logging, this package could go to internet, make requests, or maybe even execute some specific part of code. But when the hackers find out that this package makes requests to the internet, in the specific URL website of their, like the hackers, they create this. When the URL opens, there was a code, or maybe with posting that making request return specific code, and that logger log4j package. Instead of like just logging, it could go to the internet, parse the specific URL, and execute the code. And especially if the code was malicious, you're cooked. I would say you would be cooked. Like about 1,000 companies, there was a, like I would say, the reputation damage. Most of the times, the main problem of malicious code or maybe vulnerabilities, it's the damaging the company, the damaging the company's reputation. And even though there's log4j, log4j, it's an interesting thing. Even though your server, as I said in a dependency, even though your server is not using the log4j. For example, you wrote a server, like there's a API request, all the stuff. Even though your project is not using that package, but the specific package in a diagram, if you could look, you could see that there was a log4j. But when it's logging something, if the user is attacker and he wants to compromise your server, he would send a specific request to your server, and the server could execute malicious code. There was a problem with like right at them, but I guess that the main interesting thing that they found out, it was the Minecraft, I guess, from the Minecraft Java edition. Users can send GNDI looks up to vulnerable version of log4j by including them in log message. Doing so is simple. For example, in all the version of Minecraft Java edition which use log4j to record user messages, a user can type the GNDI lookup into the public chat window. Hackers can use this GNDI functionality to run malicious code remotely. First, the hacker sets up a server that uses a common protocol like lightweight directory access protocol to avoid drawing attention. There was a very interesting pipeline there. So that's what happened. This where it was written, this so Flutter reverse engineering. It's also a very interesting theme, very interesting topic to read about, I would say. So in the same people back in the days, not it's not related to our current situation, because every Flutter application could be compromised, could be reversed right now, since I guess that in a previous video I showed you how to reverse Flutter application, any type of a Flutter application. I said you, and I mentioned that I've reversed a lot of application, especially related to the big companies and all the stuff. And I wouldn't say that what company, what application I reversed, but I would say that for the learning purpose, I would do anything, and I've learned everything. I've learned a lot of from that reverse engineering. I would say that for the specific person who's what the specific person is doing, I would by reversing this application, I would learn how to properly write application. So back in the days, Flutter still, I would say, Flutter Dart virtual machine. If you ever read about what virtual machine has inside, it also has two, like it. Excuse me. It has what is that? It has garbage collector. It has compilers like AOT, GIT. If you've read that AOT compilation is, it compiles your code, Dart code, high programming language into like IRM 64, or maybe any kind of any other kind of machine code. If you read about it, it's true. It's still Flutter compiles your code, AOT code, especially any kind of code. I would say GIT, any kind of code. But the main difference between them is that GIT doesn't have more how to say that optimizations other than AOT. AOT makes like has AOT has unreachable code optimization, dead code elimination optimization, type flow analysis, any kind of stuff. And because of that, AOT compiles your code, so doing all this optimizations, and also after, like it compiles your code to machine code, as I said. That's good. That's good. But back in the days, since that this article is written in 2022, back in the days people thought that Flutter could be reverse engineered, but it's not true for the current situation, because there are a lot of tools you could find, like Jadix, what is that, Blatter, Reflutter. But back in the days there were another kind of tools they called Darter, or maybe any kind of other things. Let's check it out. I don't Flutter, not Flutter. Darter, I guess it was Darter, Flutter. This one. Last time, it's about 7 years ago, so I guess 2022, 4 years ago. But back in the days, these tools exist in those times. So for Flutter and Blatter, these kind of tools were not popular at that moment. So people use this one, but these tools were not good enough, I would say. Why? Because if you go and look my previous video, you could see that every folder that you see that reverse engineered an application that was reverse engineered, every folder in file, place it very well, I would say. So the way the application was written, the reverse also work like that one. The tool makes that one very interesting. But since that we have AI tools right now, we can just check it out and reverse, especially the machine code to the Dart code again. So back in the days, there was a myth, I would say. They said they would say that Flutter application couldn't be reversed since it's converted to the machine code, you know. But it's not true. If you go and check it out, this article, you would understand a lot of things about Flutter engineering. But back in the days, it's not related to the current situation. That is why I just mentioned this one. And the third is also about the impact of Flutter, Dart compilation, the impact of Flutter app security. It's also very interesting. And this theme talks about, for example, our previous Flutter reverse engineer talked about how Flutter applications can be reversed or not, but in the second our second guard squares Flutter Dart compilation topic. They talk about like is there enough tools for Flutter to Flutter and Dart reverse engineering stuff, you know? So it talks more about it uses the Nanya Rocket kind of application, and reversing them, they show that what is interesting. What can you do with your Flutter application? And since that time there was not enough tools, I would say they've created their own kind of IDA, I would say, who could reverse Flutter code very well. And the third one, the third article from this series, if the first article answer to the question can we reverse Flutter, and the second article could ask us why Dart is very hard to decompile, and the third one asks us, can we apply those attacks that we are doing to the Flutter to the Android and iOS as well? Since we know that Android and iOS, all of this, for example, if you're writing Flutter application, doesn't mean that you're writing only for Android. It means that your specific code was written for Android, and it also could be like, for example, it was written in Flutter, but it can be compiled to the Android, like for the machine, for the specific machine code, machine RAM64, and iOS compiled to the specific iOS. It means that if you compromise only Android, it means that the iOS was also compromised as well. You know, since the application was written in Flutter, it means that Android, iOS, like both of them are right. Both of them are equal, and for the Flutter terms, you know. But the third, as I said, the third asks us, can we apply all those attacks that we done in Flutter for the Android and iOS as well? So the answer is yes. Every attack that you do in Flutter, it relates to Android, iOS, Windows, doesn't matter. You know, for example, we are writing the same code, it means. Excuse me. all the stuff. So yeah, just you can go, for example, in Android ecosystem, Kotlin, Java, you can open JADX and all the stuff, JADX, or maybe any kind of application that can find strings from application. JADX helps to you to find all the strings from application. It means that any other tool that compromises Android, iOS like ecosystem, Flutter can be that attacking stuff can be applied to the Flutter as well. I mean, that's interesting. So that was the interesting thing to talk about, and I just wants to even, I guess that there is an interesting video out there in YouTube that talks about the security of mobile applications. It's a Yuri Shabalin. It's a person who spent a lot of time digging inside the Flutter. He mentions about Flutter, but he spent a lot of time digging inside the story, the myths, the real cases of compromising applications, mobile applications. So he's a guy who talks about all the vulnerabilities, malicious code, all the stuff that relates to the Android and iOS ecosystem, especially in Flutter as well. So all these topics that you see in my tabs, they will be mentioned down below description, so you can find them all there. Just watch it. If you understand Russian, watch this one. If you don't understand, you may translate that into English with reading subtitles, I guess. So the main thing that I just wanted to talk you and mention about is Flutter plugin attacks, mechanism and preventions. So, as I said previously, you don't know what kind of packages you are downloading in your Flutter application. Okay, so if you go and run our application, if you go and run our application and do some kind of stuff, understand what am I talking about. So let's do it. I guess that we are running in not proper emulator. We have to run that code. For Android. Let's do it. Supply chain attacks, supply chain in a document supply chain security. It means that you have to be very aware about what you are downloading, what packages you are using, from whose maintainer, for example, to our, as I said, in a control or maybe Flutter. You can say that the maintainer of this project, the guy Felix Angelov, he's very ecosystem. So it means that you can, even though if you are going to control Flutter, you can trust this guy as well. He's very, what happened? Something happened to application. It doesn't matter. We can fix it by doing. So you can trust Blackfox, you can trust to Felix Angilov, because the maintainers are very trusted people. And another rule that you have to remember is that if the number of likes, or maybe it has a lot of download, it doesn't mean that you have to be sure that the using is very good. For example, there's a Flutter. It has a lot of likes, even though it doesn't have enough downloading. So showing us that the downloads are very less. It means that you have to be sure that the specific package is very good enough that you're using. If we compare the 166 million, 0.66 million downloads, or maybe this one, a lot of downloads has block test, or is that block concurrency, and it has less than so you have to be sure per package. So what I wanted to show you, for example, this topic is written from Talsec. It's very applications, all that stuff. For example, Talsec, Flutter, OWASP. You can find out that there is a free that was made from Talsec itself. It's free RASP that checks your application, that people are not running your application in emulator, in a rooted device, all that stuff. And also very interesting thing that they have, it's API encrypted, API crypt. If I'm not mistaken, API crypt. Yeah, this one. It has. It's very interesting, I guess, as well. So what I wanted to say, this topic, and when they were developing protection, they found a very interesting thing. That they said that if you are like running your application, when you run your application, you can, for example, what I mean, this Flutter, what is that? This Flutter secure storage uses other the diagram. For example, Flutter secure storage uses the Android package. It uses the iOS package inside. So every should work the way they do, you know. So security for Flutter secure storage of iOS like works in another way. Flutter secure storage Android works in another way. All that stuff, I would say. So it means that if you go to the Kotlin main activity and write down very interesting thing here, it means that, for example, let's write down, for example, this stuff. Let me show you. Just a second. Okay. So just check it out, this one. It means that activity override, fine, configure Flutter engine, Flutter engine, Flutter engine, Flutter engine plugins, remove all. It means that when we run our application right now, it doesn't work. Maybe error. It means that when you run your application in main application, main activity Kotlin Android file, every you see missing exception, no for the Android. It means that for example, if I take this one, okay, if you run our, it works this one. Look, there's no any kind of error, everything is working very fine. If this one and put the code that removes everything from Android, every Flutter application will be removed on start when the application is running. Like it's not working, you see, missing exception, missing plugin exception, like that the was removed from your application. So what I mean, for example, downloading specific from very trusted maintainers, but you don't know that what Flutter security storage inside is using. Okay, when you download it, when you're working, the would work very fine. Everything is gone. Even though they said that you can remove. Let's go. That they said that if just writing the name of this, like we have done this one, they said that if you have a specific thing, you can remove. We have done this one, excuse me, we have done this one, but they said that if you have specific you can remove that by calling the main plugins root. So that's interesting. For example, you've downloaded the malicious code in release mode, but you haven't checked the release mode, you Google, and in debug mode everything worked very fine. You didn't know that it will now work in release mode. A lot of people, a lot of users already downloaded one, and they download again, update your application, and they said that nothing is working. You don't know the reason, because the specific inside the diagram that uses another package that downloads every plugin in release mode. That's the interesting thing. So times this works like helps you out very well, I would say. So how it would in your one, it has another meaning, okay, like will be changed, all the stuff. But flutter.dnv, if you use only this way, only in this way, it means that this flutter.dnv will be downloaded in your Flutter application. Make this one, it's very interesting that it helps. How it will help you, for example, it shouldn't be added in git ignores, remember that. It helps you with that, for example, in one Flutter application that's working in the same project. They will not download the version that you downloaded. For example, 01 in your maybe 2. When this code will be GitHub, the Flutter blog sees that it's using like 641 any kind of version. They will not download the specific version if you're using 601 02, or maybe if you're using 603 even. I mean that the version is written like this one. Let's just write down once again. Okay, the version of your like this one. Okay, and it helps developers to download specific version. Doesn't matter what. This one. But somehow one of your developers, like, or the version is written like this one, but the 602, but it should log help for everybody. The version should be same, but would set the help will be any new version of Flutter.env. Go and download a Flutter download specific version, but through it goes to the out that the version is good. It doesn't download that. You know, for example, it malicious code. For example, somebody in a version of 2 somehow adds malicious code, but if you wouldn't have any or another version, pop the developers to you that everybody's version. Remember that. So I couldn't understand. I couldn't explain you the main version. The main reason of OWASP backlog to have the same version of in everybody's machine. I would say, for example, you have what is that? You have somebody else have Windows. Somebody else has macOS, Windows, Linux, and everybody's machine has the same version of the same project. Like OWASP backlog helps you like this one. So that's the thing that I wanted to talk to mention about the inadequate supply chain security, the second rule from OWASP top 10 risks for mobile applications. So that's it. Read everything here. I will put themes down, all these topics, necessary topics down below in the description, so you could find and other maybe additional help links. I will mention everything there, so you could check it out and see what's going on here out there in the programming world. So, applications, how they add malicious code. So that is why be safe out there, take care of yourself, and see you again, I guess.